Leibniz, Gottfried Wilhelm von Leibniz, 1646–1716, a German polymath active as a mathematician, philosopher, scientist, and diplomat. He is a prominent figure in both the history of philosophy and the history of mathematics. He wrote works on philosophy, theology, ethics, politics, technology, law, history, and philology. Leibniz also made major contributions to physics, biology, medicine, geology, psychology, linguistics, and computer science. He also contributed to the field of library science while serving as overseer of the Wolfenbüttel library in Germany. He devised a cataloging system that would have served as a guide for many of Europe's largest libraries. As a philosopher, he was one of the greatest representatives of the 17th century rationalism and idealism. As a mathematician, his greatest achievement was the development of the main ideas of differential and integral calculus, independently of Isaac Newton's contemporaneous developments. Leibniz's law of continuity and transcendental law of homogeneity found a consistent mathematical formulation by means of non-standard analysis. Leibniz variously invoked one or another of 7 fundamental philosophical principles. Identity, contradiction. If a proposition is true, then its negation is false, and vice versa. Identity of indiscernibles. Two distinct things cannot have all their properties in common. If every predicate possessed by X is also possessed by Y and vice versa, then entities X and Y are identical. To suppose two things indiscernible is to suppose the same thing under two names. Frequently invoked in modern logic and philosophy, the identity of indiscernibles is often referred to as Leibniz's law. It has attracted the most controversy and criticism, especially from corpuscular philosophy and quantum mechanics. Sufficient reason. There must be a sufficient reason for anything to exist, for any event to occur, for any truth to obtain. Pre-established harmony. The appropriate nature of each substance brings it about that what happens to one corresponds to what happens to all the others, without, however, their acting upon one another directly. Discourse on Metaphysics 14. A dropped glass shatters because it knows it has hit the ground, and not because the impact with the ground compels the glass to split. Law of continuity. Natura non facit saltus. Literally, nature does not make jumps. Optimism. God assuredly always chooses the best. Plentitude. Leibniz believed that the best of all possible worlds would actualize every genuine possibility, and argued in Theodicy that this best of all possible worlds will contain all possibilities, with our finite experience of eternity giving no reason to dispute the nature's perfection. Leibniz's best known contribution to metaphysics in his theory of monads, as expounded in Monadology, He proposes his theory that the universe is made of an infinite number of simple substances known as monads. Monads can also be compared to the corpuscles of the mechanical philosophy of René Descartes and others. These simple substances, or monads, are the ultimate units of existence in nature. They are also affected by time and are subject to only creation and annihilation. Monads are centers of force. Substance is force, while space, matter, and motion are merely phenomenal. Leibniz's proof of God can be summarized in the theodicy. Reason is governed by the principle of contradiction and the principle of sufficient reason. Using the principle of reasoning, Leibniz concluded that the first reason of all things is God. The theodicy tries to justify the apparent imperfections of the world by claiming that it is optimal among all possible worlds. It must be the best possible and most balanced world because it was created by an all-powerful and all-knowing God who would not choose to create an imperfect world if a better world could be known to him or possible to exist. In effect, apparent flaws that can be identified in this world must exist in every possible world, because otherwise God would have chosen to create the world that excluded those flaws. Leibniz wrote, "Why is there something rather than nothing? The sufficient reason is found in a substance which is a necessary being bearing the reason for its existence within itself. The only way to rectify our reasonings is to make them as tangible as those of the mathematicians so that we can find our error at a glance. And when there are disputes among persons, we can simply say, 'Let us calculate,' calculamus, without further ado, to see who is right."